on the endless journey of my car. Today here, excuse me, oh, that didn't taste as good the second time. I just got done putting some cavity wax right here. Picked up from my buddy Travis Beaver's Auto Body, who is swamped while that's still here. And he even said to me, sorry, like, I shouldn't even say, like, he doesn't even do sorry, but he's just swamped. He's got actual insurance work. He does this on the side. So he had a car or GP's working on, and then this comes next. So it shouldn't take him long, but I don't want him to rush either. So there's that. And just sprayed cavity wax inside of this here. We had to have it repowder coated, because before we tanked it. And what I didn't think about is this is all spot welded. So that's just flat pieces of metal in here, right? When we tanked it, it stripped every bit of rust inhibitor out of it. So it started to rust from the inside out. I drove it for that year there, and just from driving the 1 or 2 times the rain and washing it, water got up in it, and I could literally start to see rust from the inside out. I'm like, all right, let's tank it again. And this time I went crazy with cavity wax, sprayed it in every single hole here, and just went crazy. Had it coming out all the seams. I'm probably going to hit down in this area again, just so I want to see it literally come out of these seams here too, because it rusts from the inside out, and I just don't want it to happen again. Cheap and easy to do it now versus in the future, because once it starts to rust, you can't stop it really from rusting. Once it starts, you can't stop it. So I think I'm actually going to put it back together and hit it in that area, because this up here, it really came out. I didn't do it as heavy in the center section, so I think I'm going to do it here again. While I'm at it, I'm going to take the fuel pumps out of it, change the fuel socks and stuff here. I just took a picture of the orientation. Not that it matters, because when I put it back in the car, not the end of the world, but I'm going to pull it out, and I'm going to dump whatever fuel's in here too and clean out the inside of this tank and go from there. Of course, got the Powerhouse Racing hanger, the stainless steel line I made. This was rusted. This is just a breather line that comes up here, so when you're filling it with gas, it can like burp itself. So that's all it really does. But I was like, I had 1/4-inch tubing, and I decided just to bend it jankily. You can see it's not even the prettiest. I kind of like hand bent it. But again, never see it. It is dusty from sitting here and running my heater. So let's pop this off. I use this little nifty tool. I think I got this off eBay years ago. You can see it's rusting now. But this allows you to get around the edges. You don't use a screwdriver. It allows you to take this off properly. So I bought a new plastic ring years ago, and now it's not tore up. I've seen people for years, including myself. I'd take a hammer and a chisel and beat this off, and these were all destroyed, all these fins. Not anymore. Now it's all good. So got the pumps out here. Still running the Powerhouse Racing hanger. I did set this up to run a dual brushless fuel pump setup. I'm still running the Fuel Lab 500 liters per hour, and that's rated at 50 PSI. So the problem is, I'm just going to get into this a little bit. 9 times out of 10, I hear people saying, well, that's less than a Hellcat pump. Hellcat pumps are rated at 0 PSI. And if you're thinking like me, that's absurdity, because 0 PSI means nothing. I think Hellcat pumps actually at 45 or 50 PSI are like 320 or something stupid. Like they drop off drastically. They still work. A lot of people run a 450 and then 2 525s. Turbo pump setups work great. They work just a lot of heat and a lot of amp draw, where these don't do that. I can run both these pumps at idle, and they pull like 3 to 4 amps each. And then on kill, both pumps at 100 PSI fuel, which 99% of you already need that, because I'm running 60 PSI base. So if you run 45 PSI base at 100 PSI, you get up there. But I get up there running 40 PSI, so it gets me to 100 PSI of fuel pressure. I'm seeing 16, 17 amps. And the way I'm able to see that is with my PDM. I also probably have some higher amp draw for the fact that I run wiring up to the front of the car where the PDM is. And then from the PDM, I got to run 10 gauge wire the whole way back. So that is a long area too. So that also increases amperage, because it's just, Ohm's law, right? It's trying to push it a lot. Anyways, it's just adding more issues. So it's still only pulling that. If I had it really short and I had like a PD16 in the rear, I bet you closer to 13 or 14, which these are really rated at. It's still not that bad. So I never thought about or cared, because I had 2 extra outputs. So I figured, screw it. It makes it nice. It's just diffuse and power. Then you still have to use a digital pulsed output to pulse these on and off. Excuse me. Now, the other thing here is I had to get a custom hanger. This comes from Dula Design. They actually sell this on the PHR website. PHR is also coming out with a little bit cooler universal design that'll be released shortly that allow you pretty much to run any pump, because they're getting to this point now. Everyone's not just running the standard, wallbar pumps. Everyone's got their own brushless pumps. And unfortunately, they're all like different sizes around the canister area. So they're coming up with a universal design, which I think is pretty cool. So unlike everyone else, you can pretty much run whatever pump you want. And of course, their standard 12 gauge Tesla wire makes it nice. They actually are sending me right now a new connector in line. One thing I've always done is put these Deutsch connectors here on top of this connector. Just made it easier for disconnecting and fully removing the wiring. You don't have to do this. You could just tie in. What I asked them to do is send me like 5 feet of this wire. So it's all the same color and I can run it the whole way up inside the car. I want to see if that's something you guys are interested in. They can add it to maybe a drop down on the website. This way you guys can do the same. You know, don't have to run wires down, and that would have the same color from this connector here inside of the tank the whole way up inside the car. So, you know, if you're diagnosing, you know exactly what wire's going where. And I think, in my opinion, it just makes life a little easier. Again, that is my personal opinion. So should have that here by Saturday, something we can look at. Again, I took these pumps out. These socks, actually, as soon as I pulled it out, were like off the pump. Like they were not on there. I was a little concerned about that. But when I checked my fuel filter on my car, wasn't dirty. And yeah, I haven't had any issues, but the socks literally fell right off. So I was like, that's interesting. I wonder why they fell off, or they've been off this entire time. A little concerning. The other thing I'm doing right now is measuring the pump height. So when I just measured over here, so let's come back over here. Let's do this so you guys can see it firsthand. Oops, let's get it here. I think it's roughly like 13, a little bit above 13 and a quarter. Just, it's darn close to 13 and a quarter here, right? So I was trying to see, all right, I want the pumps as low as possible, because my other concern was, once I do this here, let's bring this over. And again, you're going to measure from the rubber seal. So let's do that. So let's put it roughly there. Is it putting it down far enough? So if I set it out like this, am I smashing these filters up in? Does it need to come up some? That's what I want to make sure of. I just wanted to double check where the filters are sitting at, so they're not being choked out either, because maybe that's happening. Maybe I'm bottoming this out and I'm choking out the pumps, and you don't want to do that. It's the last thing you want to do. So just wanted to double check, and it seems like I'm okay. I'm going to put it back in here, play around a little bit, but I want to make sure I'm not bottoming this out. Just wanted to go over some of the wire color too. So how I did this was, so let's back up here. You can see the white and black goes to the ground on this pump here. So this pump right here, white and black, then red goes to red and white, and then the yellow signal wire goes to red and black there. Then for the other pump here, we've got the black is going to a straight up black wire, red is going to the regular red wire, and then the signal is a black and red. And you're like, why is there a yellow wire there? Again, this was originally designed for standard 2-wire pumps. These are a 3-phase pump, 3 wires. Yes, you must do it. Yes, it must be this way. For these style pumps, it's a 3-phase pump, brushless. These were designed for triple pump setup with a ground and power. So that's why there's 3 blacks and 3 reds in this case. Just wanted to show that, but I'm going to put this back in the car now. Cleaned up the tank. Where's my light at? Went ahead and took a brand new microfiber. Get this out of the way now. Went ahead and took a brand new microfiber in there and cleaned things up. If you guys can see there, I mean, I cleaned everything I could out of inside the tank. Again, I wanted to get all the 85 out of it. When I started up with a fresh engine, I won't run alcohol because it has too much moisture. I don't want to scar anything up, so I'm going to make sure I'll go out and get like 10 gallons of 93 pump gas, just to fire the thing up, and then run it like that for a while till I switch it back over to E85. And yeah, like I said, I already have a tune for the car, so nothing's crazy there. But yeah, let's put this back in now. All right, so we had some parts come in while I drink a nice cold Keystone. My buddy Sean's here too. And yeah, first and foremost, special for Ryan Scott. So they sent me a modified oil pump. A couple things with this, guys. I'm going to set this here real quick. We'll move this over. So the biggest thing is they check everything inside. They shim the spring for the pump itself so it has actually higher pressure. Make sure if you have something blocked off, like you do the blocked off oil pressure squirters inside of the actual engine, or the oil squirters in the engine for the pistons, that if this is going to be too much for it, because it can blow out the front or rear main seal. So we might actually have to remove the spring or the actual shim, because we might have too much pressure, because I'm using the PHR block offs. The other nice thing, I assume the super nice guy named Lance did this, says with love, and there's just a bunch of you guys can figure that out, huh? So yeah, they were so kind to do that for me. But Lance most likely did it. Thanks, Lance, you butthead. Oh, they also give you on top of it here, you can see they put a stainless steel plug on the top, which is kind of cool. I think the factory one's like a cast piece. Apparently that does rip out the threads over time. So yeah, that's the first piece they sent. Next up here, I wanted the titanium hardware. I already have their cam gears, but they sent the titanium bolts and the titanium washer for the cam gears, because we're going to get those all dialed in. It's still with Tom right now. The engine's almost done, getting it finished up. And then I wanted this. This is something I want you guys to pay attention to. So here's my wiring setup before that went to the end, or for my fuel tank setup, right? This goes to my fuel hanger, and they always give you, I think, about a foot of wiring, or 6 inches or so, whatever it is. And I've always put a Deutsch connector on it, or what you can do, I've done on customer cars, is just crimp other wiring onto it and then go up inside the tank. And for me, I would rather just have it all one length. So this is something maybe you guys can request. I think it's either 5 or 6 foot of wire, so it can run up inside the car, and then you can actually pin directly to the wire. So there's no disconnect there. You've already got this plug here. You spin this off, and it can already disconnect from at the actual hanger itself. So this would make it nice for anyone that's pinning right to it. You would know color for color what it is. There'd be no discrepancy or issue there. Same thing with the actual level sensor. They give you an extra 5 feet or so. So let me know if this is something you guys are interested in. I can ask Sam to add this to the website, and it would probably just be a drop down, be a little bit extra cost. So again, it would eliminate this, wouldn't need these plugs. It would run the whole way up inside the car, and then I would split it off for this to go for the level sensor and then for the fuel pumps. In my case, again, I only have 2 plugs because I have brushless fuel pumps, which requires 3 wires for each, because it is a 3-phase motor. I can't talk right now. Sean, I can tell in the background, is probably laughing at me. He's like, you're going too much. So yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. I'm excited about this. I'm going to sleeve it. I just don't know if I should use sheathing like this or try to get some Raychem and try to make it a little bit nicer. So we'll see how it goes here. Oh, forgot one other thing. I've had this here, which is to remove the factory bushings, right? Or any bushing really that's in the rear subframe. And I finally stripped the last bolt. So it came with 2 bolts, and I finally stripped it. And you can see it was like a fine thread. They've now moved, this old one was a welded piece too, to a 1-piece unit. And they went to a much coarser thread and something with a flanged nut on both sides. So this should help a good bit, but this thing's been a godsend. Anytime I've ever done a bolt removal, I just put a impact on it and let it eat. It does take a little bit of work though. I mean, we were sitting there for a while with Sean and I were like, yes. It takes a little bit of force, but this works because you can do it inside the car or outside the car. We already had the subframe out and still used it. Someone else could say, like, we can use an air chisel. This just works better because it uniformly pulls it through, because this pulls from the one side and the cup is where you're pulling it into. It's a really smart design. There's the part number for you guys. Same thing for some of the stuff over here. The bolts don't have anything, and this doesn't either. Again, just let me know down in the comments if it's something you want. But I believe for the pump, there is a part number. Maybe there isn't. Or is it somewhere? I can't see it right now. Because this is actually a factory Toyota box for it. But so I don't have a part number for that, but at least you guys have this. So yeah, check it out. So I wanted to go over the harness, what I'm doing here. I actually posted on the wiring specialties page, or motorsport wiring page, but I did kind of just use a zip tie to try to keep some service loops. Again, I'm not a real wiring guy when it comes to this. You got to have the proper tools. And again, I don't make harnesses, so I'm just trying to do the best I can with what I have. Regular sheathing, because I'm not doing Raychem for what I need to do. Again, this is all sealed, closed knit. This came directly from, I believe this, not Wire Care, what's the other one? It's out in Arizona, Pro Wire. And then a 3-2-1 shrink wrap. Burnt the edges here, just how you're supposed to. And I'm just going to bring it as close as I can. Keep it at a 90-degree angle here so I can run it up into the car. But this will be all one color. And realistically, I don't need all this wire, but it's better to be safe than sorry, because I will have to split off for the 3 wires here to go to the fuel level sender in the car. So that is one area, these 3 tiny wires. I'll have to make a break, and I'll step it down for these 6 wires, and then I'll put a really tiny sheathing on those to run it over, and we'll have a Y split for that. But again, I just wanted to show this real quick before I heat shrinked it all. Again, it's supposed to be twist wholly up. I tried to twist this. Again, it's got small wires with big. You're supposed to add other wiring into it, which adds bulk. I don't know how to, I know how to properly do it. I've seen it done. I shouldn't say I know how to, because I haven't physically done it the right way. I've seen it done properly, and I know what you need to do. I just haven't done the process. And again, this is overkill for 99% of cars. Even most customer cars probably wouldn't go this far because it's time, it's effort. But it depends. If the customer wants it, I will absolutely do anything I can for y'all. So that's that. I'm going to push this over a little bit more and warm things up. So here's the final product. I didn't boot it. So what I did was I did twist the wires, or what I did is loop them there for strain relief. But talking to my buddy Steve, who does all this, he's like, it's not necessary either. If you talk to Joel at RaceSpec, he said, none of that is necessary. But I just went ahead and did it just because it gives me extra just in case, and a little bit of, like, as it's moving, you see it wiggle. Then ran it through here, down to the factory piece, zip tied it here. And then came up. The one thing I was glad I did is I did twist the wire, and it makes it a lot easier, bendable, more pliable when you do that. and then zip tie it here, because most of this won't be used up at that point, because it goes up, and I think it goes like right at this point. It'll come to like here, come up in, and I'll probably cut it right about here or split it. So the power and all the other stuff will go up to the controllers, and the 3-wire will go over this way. And I'm going to give myself, again, a little bit of extra room on everything, just so I have wiggle room in the future. But I'm going to put everything in a Deutsch connector. I did save, I have the factory connector and stuff that I put the one side Deutsch and had the factory here. I might remove the factory connector. I'd pinned it, so I'd repin the wires and stuff. I have the factory Toyota pins here, but I might actually just change it all to DTP, or not DTP, to DTM, the small pins, just because I just like working with the DTM stuff, or the Deutsch stuff. It's just a lot easier to unplug and work with. But yeah, that's all done. And like I said, I just have to finish this up by the trash man's here. I just need to finish this up once I get the car back together. Well, that's done. One thing I want to bring up here too real quick is the APG brakes. The APG brakes are coming. So we already have them in the front on this car, which I've loved these. This is my second set, and then I did a third set that's on my car right now. So I had a red set on my personal Supra. Then I did this big boy. This is an 8-pot setup, and then I did another 6-pot. Or I'm sorry, that's an 8-pot front, but I did slightly smaller rotor. This is a 380 millimeter rotor. Yeah, insane. One thing I never did was, though, this doesn't have a brake proportioning valve on it, that for the front to rear, and the rear definitely, it needs it. So what I plan on doing is getting that set up on the car so the rear isn't doing as much work, because I have had the rear rotate a little bit on me, like literally locked up the rear before. Not ideal, not good. So I've been doing a ton of research, and I found out that their valves are 100% the same. This was always told. There was a guy that finally tested it. The bias to the front to the rear, though, is pretty extreme. Right now, it's equalized because they're just doing the same. Like the ports are literally putting the same amount of pressure. Well, the problem is, because that's such a larger with an 8-pot front versus this rear, it's not getting nearly enough pressure versus the rear with this little single piston on it. So this is really what's been doing all the work. And a way you can really tell it is, see how clean the rotors are? Now, I just moved this from here to there, right? And I washed the car the one day. If you look at the fronts, see how they're rusted and corroded? It doesn't even wipe off the material because it's not putting enough pressure to really do anything, because the rear is doing all the work. So I plan on putting a proportioning valve on this to try and resolve that issue. That's the last thing I wanted to talk about this. This video, again, kind of weird for today, but that's all I had for you guys. Growing up my beard right now, too, so looking like Bam Margera, kind of like him getting fat. So am I. So anyways, that's still here too. Hopefully I get a new garage. That's the other thing I want to talk about. I looked at another property here in town. Doesn't look like it's going to work, but I've got another piece that's back here. I'd like to build a 40 by 70 pole barn, have like a small office in it. So when I work from home, I can work in that and then work on cars and stuff here or there, and then make YouTube videos. I keep telling myself too, I don't want to work on cars full time, but I keep getting more and more in. I need another lift or two. This would allow me to have 2 or 3 lifts. No dyno because of the neighborhood I'm in. Plus I can go somewhere if I need to use a dyno. But pretty much want something that I can do dirty work, build a room just for that, and then part storage, because this is not cutting it anymore. And I don't like putting things in my basement. So I want a storage room, parts room. My buddy Alex at Absolute Driven Performance, he has a great setup where he has his day shop, and then he has a performance area, plus he's got this part storage area. I've always been kind of jealous, to be honest. So I would love something like that with a ton of racks, everything lined up, organized. My brain says like everything's got to have a spot in the place. So that's my thought process now, guys. That's all I have for you today, though. Thank you all very much for tuning in. And if this was a video you liked, give it a big thumbs up. Later, guys. Peace.